Monday Night at Mory's continues. We're joined by Yale senior Adam Money out of Whiteland, Indiana, and a safety for the Bulldogs. And Adam, as you wind down, is it hard to believe you've played your last game at the Yale Bowl and have just one game to go?
I don't think it is quite set in yet. On Saturday I made sure to take a mental picture of the scene and sort of the sights and sounds. Sort of remember what it was like, the last time I walked away from the bowl. So I tried to think ahead to, 10 years down the road when I think back, like what am I going to remember? So I tried to take it all in. Everybody tells us the guys coming back for the Princeton game, like remember this, remember the fun you had, remember the time you have a Saturday night going out with all your friends and celebrating the win. So I tried to, just soak in all that I could to make those memories last. But I don't think it'll hit me until probably next fall when I'm not suiting up to play, for Yale, that it's going to really be kind of heart-wrenching.
Well, let's jump ahead for a second because I wanted to go there. You're hoping to go to medical school in the future, right? Next fall, maybe?
Yeah. So that's sort of the plan right now. I'm still waiting to hear back from various med schools applied all over the country. So sort of it's a long process. I'm hoping that it works out for me in the end. So I'm just saying my prayers and sort of doing what I can to put myself in the best position to matriculate this next fall.
What's behind the desire to go to medical school? Is there a specific goal?
I've always been sort of a science-minded, curious kid. I was the kid who loved dissecting animals when you're in middle school and high school. And then it just happened that, playing athletics, seeing friends have torn ACLs. I partially tore my PCL the summer before I came here, actually, and just having the opportunity to not only further that curiosity and, work with humans, sort of have that connection with people, knowing that I'm doing something, sort of for society, but also to have that connection to athletes sometime down the road, hopefully in orthopedics or some other form of surgery. It would be just kind of like, it's like the ideal job. It's like the dream job.
Maybe a Yale team doctor someday. Watch out, Pat Rudy. Talking about this Yale season, how has it stacked up? To what you thought it might be? It has certainly been a wild season so far.
Yeah. 7-2, you can't complain about 7-2. Obviously 8-1 would be better. 9-0 would be ideal. But it's football, and you play, and the other team's out there trying to get the win too. And while wins and losses are clearly the most important stat on the football field, in the grand scheme of things, whether you win or lost, your senior year isn't life or death. It's how you got there. It's the journey with the men that you did it with. It's the relationships you built, the lessons you learned. And I think that I wouldn't change the experience that I've had this year or any previous year. I gotta give a shout out to the younger guys, especially the DBs. Drew Baldwin, Jeff Dunham, John Powers, Kurt Stoudemire. Those guys have really made the senior year awesome. Sort of, you're the oldest guy, so you're sort of that, and you sort of have more time to spend with the younger guys. You're not necessarily fighting for a spot, and it's been an incredible ride, and I'll miss that aspect of it.
Were there guys when you were one of those younger guys, when they were older, that really helped you along or you looked up to?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know in the article I talked about Steve Santoro, Larry Hebert, those guys. Casey Gerald. That group when I was a sophomore and they were seniors. Really incredible athletic group of guys, and both on and off the field, just incredible friends. I was sort of like the little brother of that group, and they really helped to. Whenever I was being that obnoxious, younger guy, kind of arrogant, they'd put me in place and, taught me some lessons, just how to conduct yourself in interviews, how to hold yourself on the field, off the field, and, those guys were sort of my idols coming into Yale football, so I just tried to emulate being that role model for our younger guys now.
Let's talk Yale Harvard for 1 second. I know Coach Williams was here and said it's just another game because it's the next game. But I've talked to enough players in the past, and especially when it comes down to guys who've been through it before. And sometimes they say, the Yale Harvard game seems to go at a faster clip than some of the other games. From your past experience, how do you chalk it up?
I think you go into the mindset, the coaches, like Coach Williams said, they try to push that it's just another game, prepare the same way, prepare the same. And so you kind of have this mindset going in that you're going to prepare the same, and then you get out there and you forget that it's this huge extravaganza. The stadium's packed, and it's much louder than normal, and it's sort of like, oh, this is the big game atmosphere. And I would be lying if I said that didn't affect every player somewhat. And at the end of the day, it's Harvard. Yale Harvard is that game that while you play all the other games, it's the one that if you win or you lose, it's sort of its own season in itself, the Yale-Harvard rivalry. So, and personally, I haven't beat Harvard in my 4 years here. So this is sort of that last opportunity that I have a chance to do that. And I know the other seniors, we really are hoping to go into this week, putting our best foot forward and giving ourselves the best chance to win. It's
really a cool thing, having the Princeton game at home. Crowd of 27,000 plus at the bowl on Saturday, and then Harvard will be packed close to 40,000. There's no other team in the FCS that's going to play in front of close to 70,000 people its last two games. Yeah. It's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, that is. It's very cool. It's sort of, when you're a high school football player and you come to play at Yale, you understand that it's Ivy League, but it's good football, and there's a strong following nationwide, but there's not always the strongest following in New Haven. And so, a lot of the games we get large crowds, but it also doesn't help that the bowl's so big that even a 10,000 people doesn't quite come close to the bowl's capacity. But when you play in that environment of Yale Harvard or Yale Princeton, you get that feeling of, all right, this is there's a lot of people invested in this game. There's a lot of alumni who come back, and it becomes that sort of extravaganza. And I would lie to you if I said it didn't affect the way you played the game or how much energy, adrenaline you had.
Yeah, I mean, the Yale-Princeton game, 27,000 plus, was more than double the second highest attendance for an Ivy League football game this year. It was 12 and change, so yeah. It's not counting another Yale game. I mean, because the Yale-Penn game was close too, but it's just something that only happens here with that 60,000 seat bowl.
It's an incredible, I guess, pull that Yale has. It shows you the love for the university and for the people here at Yale to come back and support not only current players, but the game on Saturday, the 1960 undefeated, untied team was back, and those guys were having a ball, just hanging out with each other, being one of the guys again. So we got to hang out with them a little bit, and you could tell that it was just football camaraderie, just guys being guys, giving each other a hard time 50 years later. And I think it's that aspect of football, and especially at a university like this, where you kind of you have to sort of team up in order to get through the hard times, the good times. And I think that it really shows on days like Princeton when we get so many people who come back.
I was talking to some of those 1960 guys that walked through on Friday, and one of them said to me, this would be like if someone from the class of 1910 came and spoke to us. Yeah. And I thought it was a pretty cool link to go from that way 100 years, 1910 to 2010, and that class would, that's conceivable that they did interact with those guys, so pretty cool.
Yeah, it's wild. Those guys, talking to some of those guys, they're, especially when you get them on the football field and you get them kind of, they're one of the guys that get back, and they might as well be 21-year-olds like us, just joking around, talking football, want to know what Princeton's going to do, want to know, what it's like at Yale nowadays. Do we still, do the same things? Do we come to Mory's? Do we? So it was cool just to share that aspect with them and to share sort of the common ground of Yale football and spanning decades, obviously, and it was just an awesome experience.
All right, well, thanks for joining us, Adam, and thanks for being such a great spokesman for the team, and good luck against Harvard.
Thanks for having me, so it's one last time.
All right, that's Adam Money.